All right, here we go. Okay, so thank you all for being here. I'm super excited that you are joining us for this second group for the 21-day Total Gut Restoration Challenge. So the point of this first initial meeting is to really help onboard you all and know what to expect from the program, know how to use all of the resources within it, and answer any questions that you have as you get settled into everything. Um, so a lot of questions that came in initially were getting started. So you don't need to log off of the session tonight and immediately jump into the gut healing meal plan. We're doing this tonight so that you have the entire weekend to prepare for the session. Or for the week ahead. So you can gather your grocery list, take everything we're going to cover tonight, get your plan set up for the week ahead, prep your foods, and then starting on Monday, that is when the week will officially begin. And you can really start to put your strategies into place. The gut healing meal plan itself is designed to be personalized to your preferences. So if you guys have certain foods that you do or don't like, things you want to add, things you want to exclude, certain meals that you would prefer to eat over others, you can certainly personalize this to your preferences as well. So with that said, we'll go ahead and dive into the slides for getting started, for walking everyone through. I will keep an eye on the group chat as we go through as well, just to make sure we're not missing any questions that are coming in. And then I also want to walk you through the actual program itself. So you know where to go to find all of your resources for the week. So let me go ahead and do a screen share. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Let's get to these slides. Okay. So let me make this smaller. There we go. So you can see everything. Okay, so this is the 21-day Total Gut Restoration Challenge. And if for any reason, if we cut out here, if someone will just send me a message in the group chat, I have my phone here available. So we'll make sure no one misses anything. But here we go. We are going to dive into, well, let's see, it's not wanting to work for us. There we go. All right. So most of you here already know a little bit about me. A lot of you guys are clients. You've worked with me in the past, or we work together, either cross-referring patients and clients or in the same office. So I won't bore you with the details. So as you know, I'm a functional nutritionist, and the whole basis of functional nutrition is different from, just counting your macros and losing weight. It's really getting at the root cause of things and figuring out, what's the story underneath? Why are there imbalances in the first place? So I have over 5 years of clinical experience working with clients with, looking at blood work, nutrition, putting meal plans together, lifestyle focuses. And over those 5 years, I've kind of honed in my specialties to, of course, gut health being one of those things. That's why we're all here today. I've kind of found that gut health is at the root of so many health conditions. So everything from autoimmune disease to inflammation, even things like histamine intolerance and mast cell activation syndrome to metabolic health. So things like diabetes, insulin resistance, cholesterol issues. Gut health is either at the root cause or a primary mediator in most of these things. So it's a primary strategy that I take with just about every client is some aspect of repairing the gut. I recently gotten very interested in involved in prenatal nutrition. So preconception, prenatal, postpartum. I think it's such an important aspect for sort of establishing future health for our future generations. And preventing people from needing someone like me later on in life once they do reach the point of gut imbalances or metabolic issues. So that's a new and growing passion of mine. And I consider what I do a passion and a calling. I love it. I'm super passionate about it. I'm a huge nerd, so I'm going to try to keep my excitement and nerdiness to a minimum during this session so I don't bore you with the science of all of it. But I do, with that said, very much appreciate you being here and everyone participating in this program. So we can move on to the program itself. So over those years in practice and working with people with gut health, I've kind of taken different pieces of ways to heal the gut from the functional medicine 5R program. So basically 5 strategies for healing the gut. And they say it can take anywhere from 90 days to 6 months. And various gut health professionals who work with different sort of diseases and things that they recommend for, here's what to do for specific gut conditions. So I've kind of learned from many people over the years and grabbed different aspects from different areas and started implementing those in practice. And over the years, it's kind of evolved to what we're going to be focusing on this week. So I have observed that it really doesn't take 90 days to 6 months to fully repair and restore the gut health if we are extremely intentional about what we're doing. So that is what this meal plan is about. Every single meal and every ingredient in that meal is intentional and specific to some important aspect of gut repair. So I've seen this help people with all sorts of concerns like chronic constipation to chronic diarrhea to IBS to diverticulitis and diverticulosis, all sorts of gut conditions I've seen improve with this gut healing challenge. Now, with that said, functional medicine is all about a personalized approach. So some people might need slightly different approaches. I have tried to work that in as much as I can in a group program, but even still, you might find that there are some things that need to be personalized to you. So if you run into anything like that, I do encourage you to reach out throughout the program, and I am here to help. And if it is something that needs a little bit more, digging into, that is where a functional nutrition consultation would also be very helpful. All right, so let's get to it. So we're going to kind of just walk through the program. We're going to do an overview, and I'll just walk you through why gut health matters, the program structure, how to use it, and how to access all the materials within. So, some fun facts about the gut. It is about 27 feet long, and the reason it's so important for health is because 27 feet might not seem like that huge, but your gut surface area is this convoluted like folds on top of each other, which if you stretched it out would result in about 2,700 square feet or the size of a tennis court. So that's the surface area of your entire gut from your mouth to the other end, which is a lot of area where things could go wrong or get disrupted. So this 2,700 square feet is responsible for breaking down and absorbing every single bit of food that you eat in your diet. And this is important because this is what runs your metabolism. It's what fuels you. It's what rebuilds and repairs your tissues. It's what keeps you alive. So taking care of our gut is extremely important to the rest of our health because everything starts here. Within our gut, we have over 10 trillion microorganisms. So that's our gut microbiome, our probiotics. This program is not really focused so much on things like probiotic supplements as you might expect from gut healing programs and how most people approach things. We're really focusing on a food first approach because it's kind of astonishing how much more support you can get for your gut microbiome from foods as opposed to just isolated supplements. It's one of your major detoxification pathways. So it's how we get toxins out of the body, both environmental toxins that we consume from food, that we breathe in through the air, or that come in, from skin through water, as well as toxins that our body makes just in running our normal metabolic processes. Most of that is going to exit the body through the gastrointestinal tract. It has its own nervous system, so its entire enteric nervous system that communicates with your brain, that signals when you should be hungry, when you need to eat, to forage for food, what to eat, and when. And then it is, with all of these things combined, the governing organ of overall health. So your gut, if it is causing inflammation, it can influence everything from kidney function to heart health to brain function and your cognitive state and well-being. So it is so important for, if we're going to just focus on one thing in terms of health, starting with the gut is the best place for most people. So let's get into the structure of the program. So we're really focusing on not so much what you eat, but what you absorb. So while all of the ingredients and foods are intentional in this meal plan, what matters more than just making sure you're eating those is making sure you're absorbing them. So the cooking methods that we're going to use within the program are going to be foundational to ensuring you're absorbing those nutrients. So we're going to really focus on your microbiome. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, getting your microbiome support from whole foods makes a huge difference to your health. So we're really going to focus on fermented foods with each meal during this program. And then we're really going to hone in on specific foods that are kind of like superfoods for your gut. So garlic, ginger, bone broth, gelatin, herbs and spices, fibers. These are really therapeutic overall in various aspects of gut health in terms of reducing inflammation, supporting gut repair and healing. So we're going to try to incorporate those as much as we can with each meal as well. The gut metabolism axis. So we kind of think that, in terms of metabolic health, when we hear that word, we think of weight loss, we think of thyroid. We don't always associate it with gut health, but when we think of our metabolic organs, we often think of the liver or the pancreas in regulating our blood sugar. And those organs are actually considered gut accessory organs. That's kind of another name that they're given. So they are very closely involved in gut health. So in week 2, we're going to take a detailed approach to our metabolism. Week 3, we're going to really focus on detoxification. So that's healthy flow and elimination and strategic fiber to enhance this very important aspect of gut function. And then overall, kind of wrapped in a pretty little bow with all of these meals and strategies is protein and collagen for gut repair. So if you think about it, protein is the building block of all of your tissues, and collagen is a very important type of protein that kind of serves as the scaffolding for holding your tissues together. 30% of your gut is collagen. So that's why you're going to find within the gut healing program, we're going to be eating a lot of soups, and those soups are really focused on bone in, skin on meats. So, like if you're getting a chicken, you want the bones in it, you want the skin still on it. And we're using bone broth as our broth and base for the soup. So, that's really going to help bring in a lot of collagen and protein support. So altogether, this is more than just gut healing recipes. It is a kind of a recipe of strategies and gut therapeutic foods and all sorts of things that we're really going to kind of bring together in a very intentional and specific focus to hopefully by the end of these 3 weeks experience a completely transformed gut. And I know you will if you're able to stick to it. So let's do kind of a deep dive into the weeks. Now, I'm really going to focus on week 1 because this is the week that we're coming up on. So really honing in on the features of week 1 is going to be most important for now, because you're also going to find that these strategies are still the foundational core approaches of week 2 and week 3. So week 1 is all on repair and restore. You might have read through the module for week one. If not yet, I would encourage you to do that. If you're a huge nerd like me, there's a lot of information that you can geek out on in terms of why we're doing these things, why we're using these foods and these cooking strategies. Um, but if not, just know there is a method to all of the madness, to every bit of work that you're putting in from how you're preparing your foods each week. This is a very important aspect of your gut health. So, cooking methods. When you take vegetables and meats and bones and collagens and things that we don't normally think of ourselves as consuming with our meals, if you take those things and you put them in liquid and you slow cook them at low temperatures over several hours, and then include some acids like maybe lemon or lime or vinegars, what you're going to do is you're going to allow the heat and the acids to get in here and start really breaking things down and unleashing the nutrients within. So if you think about rough fibers in greens, so think of kale, for example, it's really tough. A lot of the nutrients in kale, we can't actually access and use it if we eat it raw because it's bound up in those fibers. And then if you think of bones, I mean, we're not just chomping down on bones when we're having a ribeye steak or a chicken wing. We don't eat those. We discard those parts. But there is so much nutrient in bones themselves. It's loaded with collagen. It's loaded with things that help heal and repair our gut. So what we're doing with our cooking methods is intentionally extracting those nutrients to help our body heal. Week one also focuses on probiotic support and gut diversity. So there was a study that came out of Harvard, I believe, where they compared probiotic rich foods, so essentially fermented foods, to probiotic supplements. And what they found was people who ate 4 to 6 servings of fermented foods each day had far and away better gut microbiome diversity than people who just ate fiber or took a probiotic supplement, and even those who took a probiotic supplement and ate fiber together. So essentially, what this means is incorporating fermented foods into our diet is the best way to support our gut microbiome. So you're going to find that every single meal recommends incorporating something fermented. Now, this can be everything from yogurts. You'll find that I tend to recommend things like Greek yogurt in place of sour cream. So sour cream is something that a lot of us in the South like to put on top of soups and in other dishes. But if you go get you some Greek yogurt instead, it tastes exactly the same and it's lower in fat and higher in protein. So you're going to get more of those tissue repair nutrients from Greek yogurt as opposed to just sour cream. But either one is great. Other things are going to include fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi, natto. Vinegar is fermented. If you're not a fan of these things, you can get fermented support from drinks. So you could do kefir or kombucha if this isn't something that you necessarily want to eat in your food. Um, so when we look across the internet and across specialists and doctors and people who've written books and who talk about things to do for gut health and repairing the gut, they tend to recommend going on a liquid diet for 2 to 3 weeks. This is kind of a similar concept, but we're still including those solid foods in the form of the soup itself. But the broth base of the soup is going to be the most important strategy here. So we're going to aim as best we can to eat soups for lunch and dinner for 2 to 3 weeks. Now, in weeks 2 and 3, there are going to be options for solid meals, but if you can really commit to nothing but breakfast and soup for week one, you're going to see the most healing come from this strategy. Protein and collagen, we've already talked about this for your building blocks. And then each week also has a lifestyle focus. So week one is going to be sleep. So week two, we're really going to focus on a metabolic reset. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because we're going to do more of a deep dive next week, but we're going to focus on ancestral nutrients. We're going to support metabolic organs like your liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. We're going to still be incorporating those liquid foods, but with more of a nutrient density. So you'll learn what I mean by that in week 2. Um, the color of foods, this is going to be like your richly colored berries and beets and pomegranates. And then our lifestyle focus for week 2 is going to be alcohol. Week 3 is clearance and elimination. So strategic fibers, how the different types of fibers influence your gut and your gut microbiome and your detoxification, decoding digestion. So you can learn a lot about your health from your poop and your poop habits. And we're going to learn to decode that and what that means and if your body might be sending you messages. We're going to really focus on hydration. So this is the most foundational principle for healthy elimination. And then feeding your microbes. The lifestyle focus for this week will be stress. This is actually a recipe that we will be making in week 3, and this is one of my absolute favorite recipes. It's so good. It's the Nordic seed bread, and it is bread made entirely from nuts, seeds, and eggs. So, hope you're as excited about that as I am. Okay, now we're going to get to the full tour. So this is going to be how to use all of the resources within. You've got meal plans, prep guides, shopping lists, protocols, resource guides. Um, Hopefully you weren't too overwhelmed with going through everything. Um, but I'm going to jump back in to the meeting. Let's see. Stop. Screen sharing. Okay, let me come back here before we get in and see, do we have any questions? Um, if everyone is still doing all right. Okay, I don't see any questions. I just want to make sure everyone can still hear me and everything is good here. It looks like we are good. Can we drink caffeine during the program? Absolutely. I am still going to have my daily coffee every morning. Nothing could convince me to give that up. But I say that jokingly, but really, I am not, when it comes to functional approaches, I'm not someone who's going to encourage the discontinuation of caffeine. I'm also not going to encourage people to start it if they don't use it or don't prefer it. But with caffeine, if we're talking about energy drinks, probably not the best source of caffeine for this particular program because we are going to focus on eliminating things like food additives and colors and preservatives and stuff. But if you're having a nice organic coffee in the morning, that is perfectly fine. And it's actually a really great opportunity to give some extra gut support. So, like adding collagen peptides, unflavored collagen peptides to your coffee is a great way to get a little extra gut support. While still enjoying your morning coffee. You can also still have dairy. So if you like to add cream, if you're someone who tolerates dairy well, go ahead and put it in your coffee. I am going to push for raw dairy if you're comfortable with that because it is very nutrient dense. But if not, just whatever you prefer in your coffee. I do think the fewer additives, the better. So a lot of the flavored coffee creamers and stuff are going to bring along some things that disrupt gut health. But just a side note, so if you are having coffee in the morning, if you are adding any sort of creamer to it, that would be my approach there. Um, so, okay. What do you recommend when hungry between meals? So there's actually going to be a few snack options. I'm going to show you those that we'll walk through each one. And if you do get hungry though, so I will admit, so this is not called a challenge just for a cutesy name. It's a little bit of a challenge. Like you're going to be eating a lot of soup, but you'll be hungry because your body's going to rapidly absorb it. So if you find yourself hungry between meals, sipping on things like bone broth is a great strategy. Um, a protein drink. So I actually recommend my favorite brand of whey protein in the protocol as well. It's a great way to just get some extra protein into your diet, into the body to help support, that healing, giving your body those building blocks. And So those are some strategies. And then if you're just like starving and you need to have more, you can double up on your snacks that are offered in the meal plan. And then Colleen asked, can you suggest where we can get raw dairy? Yes. Unfortunately, Canton has nowhere that you can get raw dairy. You can go to Ball Ground. Um, they're off of 369. It's like fresh produce and beef is what they have it painted across their business right there at the roundabout, kind of in Ball Ground headed towards Dahlonega and Cumming. You can also go to Ancient Awakenings off of 92 in Woodstock or Nature's Corner Market. That was actually recommended by Dr. Colleen to me recently. They're off of Town Lake Parkway. So Nature's Corner Market, Town Lake Parkway has raw milk. Ancient Awakenings off of 92 in Woodstock. And then Fresh Beef and Produce is the only name that I know them by up in Ball Ground, are going to be your best location. So if you're in Canton like me, you might have to travel, but those are going to be your best places. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. So let's go ahead and get into the tour of the program. So we'll do a screen share again. And get back to the program itself. All right. So week 1 unlocked for you guys this week. Within the program itself and in the modules, this is what you're going to see. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, this is all your educational content. So I do encourage you to give this a read. Here's some info on your lifestyle focus for sleep. Down here at the bottom, this is where your most important action strategies are going to be. So you're going to find your gut healing meal plan and prep guide, the gut therapeutics grocery list for week 1, and then the gut healing meal plan and prep guide. So I'm looking at this from my computer. It is going to look a little bit different from your phone, but the layout's going to be all the same. Most of your resources for the program are going to be within the weekly module. But before we dive into these, I want to walk you through the most important resource, which is your protocol. That's where your meal plan is going to be. So this is actually separate from the protocol itself. You're going to go under, let's see, that is going to be under protocols. I am logged into my practitioner account currently, but you're going to go under menu and click on protocols. And then I am going to just show you what the week 1 protocol looks like. So let's zoom in here. So this is going to outline your primary focuses for the week. So number 1, fermented foods with each meal. You can read through this, understand why. There's some options and strategies for how you can incorporate this. Number 2, start each day with your functional fire cider. And then number 3, there are some optional supplements. I'm going to circle back to these. We're going to go straight to the meal plan from here. So this is where you're going to find your meal plan for the week, is in the protocol section. This would be great to download as a PDF and print it out. Your recipes are either going to be within the meal plan itself, or it's going to direct you back to the gut healing meal plan and prep guide, so that PDF in the program itself. But this is where you're going to find your outline. So you're going to have your breakfast, your snack, lunch, snack, dinner. I'll go ahead and just spoiler alert, let you know week 1 is going to be a soup for lunch and dinner. So this is where you get to personalize things. With the soup, you get to choose your recipes. And we're going to walk through that in just a second. But you do have a meal and a suggested option for every single day. Now, I mentioned that you can personalize this, and you absolutely can. If you find that you maybe don't want a sweet breakfast, so like the Sweet Protein Power Bowl, You can substitute it out for any of the other breakfast options. Or if you're like me and you prefer the same breakfast every single day, then you can absolutely eat that. I eat 2 scrambled eggs and 2 slices of turkey bacon topped with some Greek yogurt. And if that is your preference, that is perfectly fine. The biggest thing for breakfast is just getting protein in. Um, so you'll find that each of these meals are designed to give you protein. The rest of them are going to be soups. So I want to just briefly mention before we dive into those, the supplements. Now, I do have recommended supplements and then optional supplements. You can choose from these if you want to add them. The Digest IQ is a digestive enzyme that, along with the cooking methods, will help to digest and absorb nutrients. And then the protein that I mentioned. This is a great snack. It's also an ingredient in several of the recipes. And then collagen peptides, I think these are great for adding to your coffee, just giving you a little extra gut support. If you're not going to eat fermented foods, this is the probiotic that I recommend. And you can read here as to why, as well as down here, there's links to all the supplements and your options. Okay, so this is the protocol. And let's go back to the gut healing meal plan. So the next thing that I want you to do is go to the gut healing meal plan itself and pick out your recipes. Pick out which soups you want. So if you scroll down, there's going to be some recipes up at the top. But you'll need to decide which soups you want to have for the week. I recommend picking 2 to 3. That way you can have options, and then I'll show you some ways that you can prepare them and make sure they make it throughout the week here in just a moment. But there are like 16 different recipes here. I also gave you guys some options for if you wanted to purchase some pre-made soups. Lazy Susan is making some soups. This week she did the white bean and cabbage soup. So this one, I don't believe she put the sausage in there. So because we're focusing on protein, you would want to get you some sausage, whether it's like link sausage, uncured ideally, or just good old turkey sausage. You can just scramble it up and add it to your soup. And then the other one is the zuppa toscana soup. So that one is this recipe here. It is unfortunately too late to order for week 1. I also gave you some other options from Daily Harvest if you wanted to go through that and see what options you had available. But you can also make any of these recipes. So this is where you'll find your recipes. The next important thing is your grocery list. So if you view your grocery list, you will see that under produce, it's got veggies for soups plus extras for breakfast. So when you are getting your soups, if you go through the meal plan protocol in the protocol, there are some recipes that call for adding vegetables to your breakfast. So like frittatas or omelets or anything like that. If you want to add those to your breakfast, just make sure you have enough veggies on hand. But essentially, you'll need to make your veggie list based off of what you are what soups you're making for the week, what soups you chose. Everything else here is going to be things that you'll need for preparing for the week. Fermented foods, you can choose your option. So you don't need to have all of these on hand. Some of these you might already have in the pantry or the fridge. So don't get things you already have, but these are all going to be called for in the recipes in week 1. And then we're also going to see these show up in week 2 and 3. So it's a pretty hefty list for week 1, but you are going to find these things showing up again and again. Let me see what's going on here in the chat. I see there's a new message. I don't see the recommendation for Daily Harvest. Okay, Renee, that is going to be in the intro section. Let me close this real quick. Let me show you where that's at. Under done for you meal options. So if we go to the content here, let me close the chat for now. If you scroll down, Daily Harvest meal service. It walks you through where to get those. Some of these you might be able to find in your local Kroger. I checked my store. Unfortunately, they didn't have any soups, but you could turn the harvest bowls to a soup if you wanted to. So those are still some good options there. And you can also order just to have some on hand for the coming week. So that is in this welcome and introduction module. So currently I am in the week 1 module. This is the building blocks to heal. This is where we're finding all of these resources. Okay. The next meal plan and prep guide. I might have, yeah, this in here twice. I might have actually put this in the wrong place, so I need to just go and move it around. Let me see if it's under gut therapeutics. Your week 1 prep guide. I am looking for that. Let's see. I've got it in here. And I'm just going to add this for you. It should be already in there, but it looks like the wrong resource got added. So here's what we're looking at for the week 1 prep guide. This is going to be super helpful to print off. It's going to walk you through everything you need to do on a daily basis to make sure you're hitting your gut health goals. So Sunday, and you can space this out over Sunday and Saturday. This is just for saving space. You've got your grocery shop instructions. So instructions for getting some extra things for breakfast, and then select 2 to 3 soups, and then build your grocery list from the soup recipes that you're going to make. This is really going to be your overall guide that helps you with kind of bringing everything in. The resources that you'll need to reference are highlighted or they're bolded in the list in the note section. So this will help sort of keep everything organized, know where to look for certain things, and how to bring those to your task for the day. So if we go to Monday, first thing you want to do in the morning, have your functional fire cider before each meal. And in the notes, you can see this is in your gut healing meal plan and prep guide. So you have that recipe within there. Now, this is such an important piece of the gut healing meal plan that I kind of want to walk through it with you guys really quick. So let's pull that back up here. If you pull up the recipe up towards the top, your functional fire cider. There's 2 options for doing this. In terms of making your aloe vera cubes, this is just some very specific gut healing nutrients, including aloe vera, apple cider vinegar, lemon, garlic, ginger, and honey, and then a little pinch of cayenne pepper. This will wake you up in the morning, unlike any kind of coffee that you've ever had. It wakes your body up, and this is one of my most favorite parts of the gut healing program because it's something you'll immediately feel. So what you're going to do is you're going to get an ice cube tray and you're going to freeze aloe vera juice. So I like to use fresh aloe vera juice. That does take a little bit of time. If you don't want to do that, you can go to any grocery store in the supplement section and get George's aloe vera. You can also order it from Amazon. Just freeze it over the weekend. What you'll do is you'll heat up some water, so just boil it. I like about 4 ounces of water, so it's not a huge thing that I need to drink in the morning. Add your lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, honey, ginger, cayenne pepper, sea salt. Pour the water over the top of it so it melts the ice and it brings the temperature cool enough so you can drink it. And just have this first thing in the morning. It is incredible for your gut and it feels amazing. So this is one of the highly recommended things. I don't recommend skipping this particular piece. Where can we purchase Manuka honey? Good question. You can find this at most grocery stores in the honey section, but you'll probably kind of want to look up towards the top. Manuka honey is pretty expensive because it's harvested from like the highest mountains in New Zealand, and it is very rare and hard to find, and dangerous to harvest too. You don't have to buy Manuka honey if you don't want to spend $20 on a tiny little jar of honey. You can use regular raw honey. So that is an option, but I do recommend Manuka as like the best option. It just has some additional alkaloids in it that are they come from this flower that grows in this region of New Zealand and whatever mountain range that is down there. And then the bees, by taking it and it aging over a certain amount of time in the beehive, it creates this very potent healing um, sort of almost like a medicinal compound, really, that people use it to like heal their wounds and stuff. They put it on open wounds for rapid healing. So I like to use it for rapid gut repair. Let's see. Jamie said, I found Manuka honey at Aldi and it was around $8. So, okay, you can get it from Aldi. I have also found it from um, Home Goods. So I love Home Goods. I love their little gourmet food section because they have stuff that you sometimes can't get from a regular grocery store. So I have also found it there for like 12, $13. So okay, Aldi is looking like our best option here. There should be one on in most local areas. Canton is a little limited in their grocery store options. So let's go back to our slides here. Okay, so I can upload these slides if that would also be helpful for you guys. But the biggest thing here, this kind of just outlines where you want to go, how to organize everything. The protocol is going to be the first place to start. That's where your meal plan is. Then, so you'll review the PDF resource of the meal plan and prep guide. This is where all your recipes are. So you just need to pick your soup recipes for the week, decide how many you want to make, and then bring that into the rest of the shopping list that's already done for you, and then go get your groceries. Then your prep guide is going to walk you through the steps to prepare your soups for the weekend, as well as daily things to do for the week. So I also want to show you, whoops. Let's see. Let's go back here to the prep guide. So I have in here to make your soups, if you want to go ahead and make them all on the weekend, freeze half of them for later in the week, just so you can ensure that they're going to make it that long. This way you're going to have options. So you're not eating the same soup for lunch and dinner every day. I like to freeze it into individual freezer-safe containers. Be careful if you're using glass. It is very easy for them to break and crack. The downside of plastic is you don't necessarily want to heat things up in plastic. So I do have in this plan to Wednesday, go ahead and move 2 frozen soups to the fridge to have it thawed for tomorrow. So that way, whether you're putting it in an individual container that will hold 2 servings of soup, so your lunch and dinner, you can take out half for lunch and have the other half for dinner and just heat it up as you go. But each day you're going to have your reminder for moving your frozen soups over. Now, as another option, you can just make one soup and make your second soup later. So that is absolutely an option for you as well. I sometimes will do that if I don't feel like making that many soups over the weekend. But you do have options here. The biggest thing is, just how prepared do you want to be going into the week? There are some like the egg frittata muffins on Thursday. So you want to make these on Thursday evening. These are your breakfast options. But again, if you're personalizing your breakfast to your own preferences, then you don't necessarily need to make these if they're not in your meal plan. All right, a couple more chat. TJ Maxx for $12.99. Yeah, Carla, that is one of my favorite places to get it. You can sometimes find it with the higher, I think it's DGO is the active compound in there that's healing. You can find it with higher active compound levels from TJ Maxx too than in some grocery stores. Let's see. Colleen asked, when you suggest to use a container that isn't glass or what do you suggest to use as a container that isn't glass or plastic to freeze individual soups? So if you have stainless steel containers, that is a good option. If you don't want to go out and buy all new containers, plastic is okay to use for freezing. What I would recommend is making sure your soup is completely cooled before adding it to the plastic container, immediately putting it in the freezer, and then only thawing it in the plastic, not heating it up in the microwave or anything. Just because it does leach a lot of plastics into the food, and we want to avoid that. I had a great suggestion from our last group. Someone used mason jars for her soups, for her like daily serving sizes. The only thing with putting these in the freezer is if it needs to be refrigerator temperature before you move it to the freezer, because it will expand and it will break the glass if it's a little too warm and you're freezing the liquid in there. So if you want to use like mason jars in glass, just put them all in the refrigerator for a full day. So they're about 32, 33 degrees, and then move them into the freezer so they don't break and shatter. So that is how you can use glass. You just want to be careful with it because it could break. Okay, and I'll keep checking on the chat as we go. Let's see. Let's jump back to our resources. All right, so here we have our slides again. If you want, I can upload the slides for everyone to just sort of have this as a quick reference again for using the resources, because I know there is a good bit within. All right, next steps for you, your task. A lot of you already did this, but complete the gut health check-in form if you haven't. So this is a great way to see where you're at before getting started and where you're at towards the end of the program in terms of how is your gut feeling overall. The chat is a really great place to connect. So if you want to introduce yourself to the group, let them know, what your expectations are or what you're hoping to achieve, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, you're welcome to drop that in the group chat. I would love if you guys want to share pictures of your recipes throughout the week. I will certainly be doing that, and I might even annoy all of you to death with all of my food pictures, but they are coming, so be forewarned. I'd love to see what you're eating too. Prep. So the next thing you'll want to do is just prep over the weekend. Get everything ready. If you have questions as you get into the resources and need help with aligning it all, please reach out to me. Let me know. If it's something you're comfortable with everyone else knowing, the group chat would be a great place for those because other people might be wondering the same thing. And then number 4 is heal. So really all you need to do for that is just let the program do its work and you'll see results by the end of these 3 weeks. All right, so that is it for the slideshow. Now let's see, we have about 8 minutes left for a Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to come back to the video here. All right. So I don't see any other questions come in, but if you guys could just give me like a thumbs up or a yes or an exclamation mark, does it make sense in terms of following the resources, where to go, where to get your information? Is that easy enough for everyone to extract that and put it into action for the week? Okay, I'm getting some yeses, some thumbs up, so that is awesome. Can you pre-batch the fire cider or do it daily for sure? That's a great question. I have never pre-batched it. But what I do when I want to save time is I will just mix up the ginger, cayenne pepper, salt, and just have that ready to scoop in And then I'll just throw my ice cubes in the morning. I just hit a little button on my kettle to heat up the water. And then I'll keep, what is it? Santa Cruz brand is a little glass jar of organic lemon juice. So I'm just dumping a little bit of that in there, dumping my apple cider vinegar, dropping a scoop of honey. If you did want to pre-batch it, you could probably do it with like the honey, lemon, the herbs, and then have your ice cubes in the freezer and just heat the water and combine those three things. So that would be an option for making that a little easier and saving a little time in the morning. Um, Mix everything together but your water and your frozen aloe, and you should be good. Um, okay. Any other questions? Give it a few minutes for those to come in. All right. So I'm not seeing any other questions? What's my favorite soup? My favorite soup is the garlic ginger noodle soup. I absolutely love that one. It feels like it's healing your gut. Um, my favorite noodles to use in that, as of recent, are actually the I think I'm saying this right, shirataki noodles. They have like four net carbs, and you find them in the noodle section, but they come in a little pouch. They're already done. Um, Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. Um, I am looking forward to you diving into these strategies, making some of these recipes. And there is also a strategy in there, in the meal plan itself. If you want to make your own gut healing recipes, you don't have to follow my own. You can take like the foundational pieces and take your bone broth, make sure you have some protein, and then whatever vegetables and spices and herbs that you want to add, that's going to be a gut healing soup. It's really mostly just the combination of these things. Let's see, for the bone broth, do you simmer it when you leave? I was worried about the logistics of that. So, okay, Lauren, so what I do for bone broth, sometimes I just go buy it from the store because that's easier. One thing that I have found though that uh, is really easy, as of lately, I'll get a whole chicken and put it in a crock pot and cover it with water. After about 4 to 6 hours simmering on low, as long as there's not too much in there that it's going to overflow, and add, whatever vegetables and spices you want, just pull the meat off the chicken. And then that way you're going to have probably like enough meat to cover really three soups because it's a lot of meat that comes off of the chicken. Then just leave the bones in there to simmer for another 24 hours. You can leave that in a crock pot overnight while you're away from home, however long you need to. I am a little bit weird about leaving it on the stove, so I do try to do this one in a crock pot. You could probably do it. I don't have a pressure cooker, so I don't know a lot about those, but you could probably achieve the same thing from a pressure cooker if it has like a low and slow option. Um, and then you have your bone broth. If you want to add a little bit extra like gut healing support, you can add a scoop of grass-fed gelatin to it. Or just add that to your soups themselves. But that's a really easy way to get your meat for your soups and go ahead and make it into bone broth. And then if you happen to have any other bones, you can leave those simmering in a crock pot for several days, but it's a lot of work to kind of gather those, find them, gather them, make the bone broth. So I tend to just either buy like beef or turkey, or I'll make it with a whole chicken. You're welcome. And let's see, any other questions? Trying to think of some questions I had last time. So in case anyone not on the live session has this question, someone asked last time, what are some fermented food options for people who don't do well with dairy? And my response to that was most lactose intolerant people actually can tolerate things like Greek yogurt and certain forms of whey protein because of how the processing method is done. It actually filters out a lot of the lactose. So I do tend to encourage my clients to just give it a try and see if it's something that will be tolerated because it is such a good source of protein and it's loaded with all sorts of microbes that support gut health. But worst case, you can get GT's brand of coconut yogurt. I don't see this at your major grocery stores, but if you go to Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Fresh Market, Sprouts, places like that, you can find it with their yogurts. It's a really good clean option. They use stevia and or monk fruit in that one, but I'm not a fan of like the So Delicious brand, like the dairy alternative yogurts, because they're adding so much sugar. Um, so Shelly B, do you have a brand of Greek yogurt you like best? Shelly, I tend to go for the organic options whenever they're available. I will say what I don't recommend for using in place of Greek yogurt or in place of sour cream with Greek yogurt is the Chobani brand or the Greek Gods. They tried to make it taste like regular yogurt and it doesn't taste like sour cream. I do a lot of my shopping at Kroger because there's one close to me and they have the most organic options. So I use either the Kroger Simple Truth brand or Publix Greenwise brand for organic Greek yogurt. Those tend to be my favorite just because I know for sure they're at least organic. All right. And any other questions? Okay, so we are coming up here at 7 o'clock. If anyone else drops a question in, I'll be sure to answer it before we hop off. But if not, I very much appreciate you all being here on the live session. I can't wait to get started with you in this journey together. So I'm going to be doing it with you guys. I'm going to be making soups, doing the whole gut healing challenge. I hope you're able to do all of the things. If you can't, just modify it and do it to what you can stick to, what's going to work for your schedule. Um, and yeah, I think that's just about it. So just drop me any questions that come up as you go along. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you all next week.